Welcome to Geeks Corner. I'm Mr. Daps.
I'm Katie.
And we're so excited that you're here for a very big day.
No.
No?
Honestly, I thought we were just going to play Wavelength and...
Churros. We're going to talk about churros tonight,
home.
right?
Yeah. It's been raining a lot, so I was going to talk about that.
Okay, that's fair. How about instead, tonight, through the course of this episode, we talk about Disneyland's changes today, Walt Disney World's changes today, Walt Disney World's announcements today for both nighttime spectaculars and a new attraction, and a certain favorite Earl returning to Downtown Disney, perhaps.
When did they announce all that? I
And
haven't heard
then
anything.
Maybe also a trailer.
Huh.
Let's hit all that stuff in a half an hour. I think we can do it. We hope you'll join us. What should people do, Katie?
You should go to geekscorner.live, and you should tell us what your favorite announcement is from this week, because there's so many that every single one of you could have a different favorite.
That is true.
It's so many.
And it could be about churros.
Could be.
I mean, we are getting to that time of the year where they start announcing new churros.
Mine is about brownies.
And I can really say that at any time of the year.
You really could. That's an evergreen announcement.
Yeah. I was thinking this. I'm like, well, yeah, we'll have these churros. And then there'll be the next ones. And then the ones after that.
But will we get new churros for Princess Night? My guess is yes.
I think that's a safe bet.
Yeah.
I don't know what they'll be, but... Strawberry, maybe? Something with, like, cinnamon and strawberry?
So my awful one that immediately came to mind, because I think it's hilarious, is this is the Aurora Churro. Yes, you will notice it is a deep purple. That is because it is infused with NyQuil. Because she...
Sleeping? Yeah, I got it.
You know.
And I thought they were going to fight over whether it was blue or pink.
No.
Okay.
See,
that's okay. Let's get right into this.
Let's go.
Today it was announced that Disneyland is modifying its park hopping times, which means that come February 4th, you will be able to park hop from one park to the other if you have the right ticket or pass, key, whatever, at 11 o'clock instead of 1 o'clock. And what do you think about this first news of the day? I think the other thing, let's just, while we're hitting Disneyland, we also will be getting free on-ride or attraction photo pass as well.
Oh, I didn't even know that. Whoa.
Yeah, that was one of the changes that came as well today.
I genuinely didn't know that. I'm not playing dumb for a bit.
No, that's really that's
there's
happening.
There's a lot of information.
There was a lot of news that happened today. Yes.
So my first instinct is that I hope this is a gateway to no more park hopping time frames. That's my first thought instinct. My second instinct is extremely selfish, and that is we used to do rope dropping Lamplight Lounge, which opens at 11:30, and it could be difficult sometimes. It was never super hard, but now that park hopping's at 11 and the restaurant opens at 11:30, I think it'll be a bit harder now.
Could be harder. So. I mean, it could go both ways though, because that can make it harder for Ogas. That can make it harder for any of the I want to go to the other park things.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's fine. Like, I don't...
11 a.m. is also just a weird time.
The thing I like about it is if you're in Disney California Adventure to start the day, you can now make it over to catch that cavalcade.
Yeah.
And also the band moment at the castle.
Yeah.
Because there are a couple things at Disneyland that are more time sensitive, I feel like, than Disney California Adventure. And so I think that's going to make it nice. Depending on what the schedule looks like for Lunar New Year, that might make it easier to catch like the first processional or something like that. Just because it seems like by around noonish, 11 or 12, that's when entertainment starts happening. So that would be potentially helpful. And I think it's a definite positive step in the right direction. And like, I don't know that I'm super stoked about it, but I'm also like, I don't have a huge one way or the other. It does open up eating options also, though.
It does.
But yeah, over at Walt Disney World, this one is the one that excites me more, actually.
I agree completely.
There's a few things that happen at Walt Disney World. Number one, annual pass holders will be able to go into the parks without a reservation after 2 o'clock any day, except for Saturday and Sunday at Magic Kingdom.
Which, yeah.
That's fine.
Expected.
I am curious, though, can they park hop to Magic Kingdom if they've gone, let's say you start at Epcot at 2 o'clock, could you go to Magic Kingdom at 5 o'clock?
That's my guess.
I don't know.
But who knows? It'll be
Yeah.
very interesting to see how the letter of the law is enforced.
Yes, I'm very intrigued by that. So they've got that. It is now also free parking if you're staying on property at one of the hotels. And it was anywhere from 15 to 25, if I remember off the top of my head. And then they also are adding free photo pass on attraction photos for Genie Plus there, where it was an upsell before with, was it My Memories?
A memory maker.
Memory Maker. So that's slightly different, and I've seen some people commenting, why is it different in Florida than it is in California? I'm like, well, they have two completely different systems for how you get your photo pass.
100%.
Of these three things, what do you think of them? What are you most excited about?
I am, again, you're going to hear me say like gateway a lot tonight, or stepping stones. I do hope maybe this is false hope or something that I shouldn't put all my eggs into, but I would love it if this was a stepping stone to getting rid of reservations for pass
Do you really think we're going to get to a no reservation point? I don't know.
I think in the next 3 years we will, yes.
I would love that. I just don't know that it's practical. Because I do see a business advantage
I
that
do too.
benefits guests by having some level of reservation. I would like to see a change to registration where you can register to go on a day and you don't get penalized if you don't show up.
I was going to say.
I think Florida in that regard is a better system.
Yeah, that's my other thing, is I would love if the next thing that we got at Disneyland was giving us the ability to cancel same-day reservations.
Because I just think it would take away an almost inflated demand that maybe it exists, maybe it doesn't. But I do feel like there's, like I've gone in on nights, I went last week one night because I hadn't gone in the park yet. And I was like, well, I don't want to get dinged. So I'm going to go in at 9, 10 o'clock at night. And
you could even keep the ding system if you say don't cancel your reservation, you just don't show up. But if I had the...
Oh, like where if you say I'm going to cancel.
If I had the ability to cancel same day, that would get rid of a lot of headache. I also think that giving us visibility to any misses that we might have would also be very helpful.
Yeah. Yeah. In fact, that was one of the reasons I went in, is like, well, I know I got one miss, but it was like a year ago, 6 months ago. And then I started second guessing things and being like, well, maybe I missed it. And maybe I did. Yeah. So that would make life easier.
Yeah. I think that giving us insight into that, and then also giving us the ability to cancel same day, and us only getting hit if we didn't cancel it and didn't show up, I think that'd be great.
Basically like a no call, no show if you work somewhere.
No show. Yeah, 100%.
Okay, that's fair.
But I love the not needing a reservation. I don't think that's something we would see here, just because we only have 2 parks instead of 4.
Well, and you think of how many people show up at 4, 6 o'clock after work that are locals with passes. Like that's a pretty common thing to see. You know, I feel like every Friday night you see on Twitter, it's suddenly exposed
Got off work,
like, oh man, making friends is terrible right now. You know, like there's always that thing kind of happening. And I don't know that that's something that would help anybody.
Yeah, no. I just, again, Disneyland and Walt Disney World, as much as they are similar for being the 2 domestic parks, I think are apples and oranges. You have completely different guest bases. You have completely different patterns that your guests are in. Obviously, as most people know, Disneyland is mostly like a locals park. So things that work at Walt Disney World don't
think of our friends who are locals in Florida.
Yeah.
How differently they do their local park compared to us. Like when we go see Mikey, Mikey has a very different routine than we have here in California. And it works out great, but it's just very different than what we have.
And you can't walk on foot from one park to the other, which is something you can do here.
That is very true. Yeah, I would like to see that cancellation thing. And I think Angela makes a good point, is if you had a day of cancellation, you wouldn't have people that shouldn't be going to the parks because they have a cold, they have whatever.
I've known friends that have had migraines that have gone in because they're like, yeah, I'm so sick I want to throw up, but
I don't want to get penalized.
I don't want to get penalized, and they're miserable.
Well, I think there's even, you could take it a step further, is there certain people that absolutely want to play by the rules all the time. That's not everybody. Like there's I think the majorities, and then there's the ones on the either end of it. But there is a good group of people that are like, hey, I don't want to get dinged because that's the same as failing in some ways, or you know, whatever. And I think in some ways it makes it even harder for them because they're like, well, I know I shouldn't do this because I'll get dinged, but I also don't feel like I should go in because I got a sniffle or whatever it is.
Well, I mean,
My kid's coughing, you know, whatever.
That was your case, the one time that you've been dinged.
Yeah.
It was a sudden onset.
Yep, and I was sick.
And it was completely unavoidable. And
so I got dinged.
It sucked.
Yep. Yeah, or a set number of cancellations per year. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
And the weather. That's also true this year is how unpredictable the weather has been. Like there's been days where they're like, oh, it's only gonna be cloudy, and it ends up being rainy, and then Thursday was supposed to be raining all day, and it only rained for half the day. And like I went in for a rainy day cavalcade that didn't happen because they sent the parade instead.
That was something that I noticed last year, like all of last year, is the days that you would normally expect Disneyland to be dead, like the really pouring down rainy days, were still super crowded because people had reservations.
Which it's not quite that bad this year.
No, because
I think people are preparing more.
Well,
now.
and I think this year we've had more of a heads up on when it is going to rain. But last year we had a lot of, oh, we wake up and it's surprise rain.
Yep.
And so guests would still go, and then it would be miserable, and everyone would be slammed into these like small areas, which is scary when there is a respiratory pandemic going on. But that was like a total change of guest dynamic, because normally it was like, oh, you go on a rainy day, no one's gonna go.
Yep.
And now
or the rain comes down, everybody leaves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But now it's like people feel that they have an obligation to fulfill because in a sense they do. So.
Yeah, I think if they even used I don't know how to make it, but like so for the dining plan, you have a 2-hour window before your reservation that you can now cancel. So I almost feel like if you had 2 hours before park hopping, then why not?
Yeah.
Like I think that could be a unique way to fix it. You know, if you cancel by, I guess that'd be 9 o'clock in the morning, but I feel like that's still somewhat reasonable.
Yeah, I agree. I also just think that, as we've all discussed, there have been so many things that come up. There's personal emergencies, there's illness, there's weather. There's so many things that can come up on the same day. And I think that we're moving past the need for this penalty system.
I'm also curious to see how it changes guest flow at Walt Disney World, being able to come in after 2 o'clock without a pass. Like I have a pass there.
Yeah.
And
he's going to fly to Walt Disney World, walk in at 2 p.m. just to say he did it, and then fly home.
Well, I probably wouldn't worry about getting a first day reservation.
Yeah.
Anytime I fly out, because usually I fly out and I land late afternoon, early evening, and then I race to Epcot or something.
But now you could just go.
Yeah, and there's no penalty there, so it's not like it's a huge deal.
Yeah.
But I still have this kind of like, I want to do it, and
there's no headache of having to make sure that you have reservations.
And that's actually the hard part, is sometimes getting, like on the last trip actually, which didn't matter because they all got closed anyway. But getting the reservation for my first day in, for whatever reason, that was it Wednesday, was busier than everything else, and that was one of the days where it was like, oh, I had to pick a park I wasn't necessarily looking forward to, and whatever.
Disney's Hollywood Studios.
It'll be interesting to see.
I don't even know if that was the park.
It wasn't.
Oh, okay.
But it was, you know, it's just one of those things that I think it takes off the pressure of having to figure out how to do all of these different things just to go to Disney. And the only other thing I would say they need to simplify are those garbage cans in Tomorrowland.
I should have known this was going to come up.
We had dinner in Tomorrowland on Sunday night, and there were garbage cans that, I kid you not, I walked up and I legitimately stood there confused because I wasn't sure what went in where, because there was it 4 options?
Recycle, compost.
But the second one had 2.
No,
there was like a left side and a right side on one of them.
Well, one of them was recycle, and that's also where the cup or the liquids and ice go. Then you had compost.
But there was 2 options there.
But those trash cans exist other places.
Okay, it's still an option.
And then there's compost, which is food, and then there is like landfill garbage things. I will say, and this is going to be so annoying. This is going to sound like we're nitpicking. I will say I am trained by my job in composting, and I was still a little confused because it's a lot. So
there was too many options and I didn't know what fit where, and it felt like what I had didn't fit in the slots that they were giving me for what it was, and so I was just like...
Also, the descriptions were a little confusing that were on the cans, and yes.
So I hope someday they can come up with a simpler system that gets the same outcome.
Anyway, I think this is a great change to spontaneity of being a pass holder, and I think that that's what pass holders got passes to do, and I'm excited to see spontaneity come back. Should we move topics?
Sure. I guess we can, yeah. Yeah, Clocky's right. Eat at Plaza Inn. They'll take care of it. Mm-hmm. Same with over at, what is it, Paradise Gardens. All right. We also learned today, after a bit of a tease yesterday, that Tron Light Cycle Run will be opening on April 4th, 2023. It was very fun to watch the internet explode, including our team at Daps Magic, as they all told me, this is for sure what this code means. And I am pretty sure that nobody was right.
I would like to say, before anyone wants to point fingers at me, because I know some of you do, because I'm a very absolute person, I never said definitively.
Oh, I didn't think you did.
No, I'm just making sure.
Okay.
I'm making sure, because when you say the staff was swearing up and down about something, I know that people are going to think that it was me.
No,
I'm abrasive.
I just think people all over were. It was funny watching chats and Twitter and everywhere else, like, this is what it is, this is what it means, and I don't think I saw anybody be right.
No, because
which was very fun.
The code was actually weirdly broken up.
I agree.
If you go to Scott Gustin's Twitter, you can kind of see this, the way that it was.
Yeah.
The code was in 3 different lines.
Yeah.
It didn't really make a ton of sense. But also, I'm enjoying that they're having fun.
Oh no, I thought it was hilarious. I was very amused by the whole thing, and it was fun to watch it play out. And like, I just kind of was like, I'm not even gonna guess because this is so convoluted. And I've got people texting me out of nowhere. They're like, this is what it means. I'm like, okay. And
I think my favorite though was us sitting in a Starbucks, and we were just kind of like, huh, what does that mean? That's weird.
Yeah.
I was absolutely asking people that were smarter than me. I will say though, because I need to say it. I said it on Twitter, but I'm going to say it again here. Why was Disneyland on that list, huh?
I like the electronica thing.
But it wasn't DCA. It was Disneyland.
I don't know.
I'm a little suspicious because they had Shanghai Disneyland.
Maybe the code isn't done yet.
They had Shanghai Disneyland's opening.
Maybe they're going to continue this all the way through April 4th.
They had Magic Kingdom's opening, and they also had Disneyland's opening.
Here's what I would like to see happen. If I were putting on my Imagineer hat today, I would like to see them. Remember they were going to build that big parking lot across Harbor Boulevard with the walkway?
Parking lot, yeah, baby.
Yeah, knock all that stuff down. You own it already. Put it over there. Have a cool walkway that they didn't want, because if you're walking in from a parking lot, you're taking away
the business.
The business,
yeah.
However, if it's just becoming an extension of Disneyland, like, think of this as a new version of Disneyland Forward, where you go across this cool tunnel overpass thing. What was it? Carousel? Is that what it's called? The carousel?
I don't remember. I just remember calling it Expansion East.
Yeah. So anyway, you go over there, and you've got this fun little Tron area that's almost Tomorrowland 2 or 3.0. Maybe feels very Tokyo Disneyland Tron, or Tokyo Disneyland Tomorrowland. And then you put the whole thing there because there's actually space for it. And everybody wins. You still have your submarines. You still have your Autopia and your monorail, whatever. Maybe even make the monorail stop there. I don't know. But I think it'd be hilarious to put this attraction outside of the current area of the park and expand it. What do you think?
I think that is such a silly idea, but I kind of love it.
That's exactly my thought. Like, at first, when I first said it, I was totally joking. And then I was like, wait a minute. Yeah. Chris is exactly right. Tron with a plaque that says site of the former Quiznos. Maybe you even do, like, you know how they hat tip to former attractions? You nod to, like, the former things that were at these.
The lights go green and yellow.
Yeah,
no,
but
I
think
that's subway colors. I don't know what Quizno colors are.
Aren't they like red and
I don't know.
black
I should
or
ask
something?
Kelly Unruh, former Geeks Corner guest, Kelly Unruh.
But when I first said it, I thought it was stupid and hilarious, and then I started thinking about it more. I'm like, well, why not? They're not using it for a parking lot. I mean, they are, but not the one they wanted. Maybe they even put the parking lot under it. Like, bump it up.
Parking structure with
Yeah.
the Tron light cycle on top.
Imagine the views, especially during fireworks. Like, that would be
I can't
super
argue with
cool.
that.
Like, it's very cool. All right. Another thing that's happening at the Disneyland Resort is, well, it already did happen, is La Brea Bakery closed rather unexpectedly on Monday morning. From what we heard, people came in and were told they were done, and that was the end of the story, which is very sad.
Yeah.
The
I don't like
silver
hearing that.
lining of that story, however, is that Earl of Sandwich will be returning to that location for a temporary stay, I guess you could say, and it'll have a grab and go, and it'll also have a table service, which I just want to see how that works. Like, I want to see Earl of Sandwich table service. Like, do you still get it in the wrapped?
We have already planned that the group chat will be going to table service Earl of Sandwich.
But I just want to.
I have zero expectations.
And then that location will be probably raised to the ground, but it will be definitely have a lot of construction happening there for Portos. Yeah, have you not heard that phrase before? Oh, okay.
Sure haven't.
It's a phrase.
Okay, I believe you.
Yes. But then it'll be the home of Portos, and hopefully Earl will end up somewhere else in Downtown Disney, and it's absolutely the Main Street Electrical Parade of Downtown Disney. Like, that thing just keeps coming back. How many times is it closed now? 3?
2.
2. Okay. But it will be 3 soon.
Yeah, because that one will have to close to move. I am so thrilled, not because of anything that's on the menu, because, like, Earl mac and cheese is great, right? Love that.
Cookies are good.
The
Sandwiches are good.
The brownies.
I like the cookies too, though.
Okay, then you can sit with Hopper, and you and Hopper can eat the cookies, because when I would take breaks at East, I would go down to Earl. I would get a brownie, she would get a cookie, we would get whatever sandwich. But the Earl of Sandwich brownies. I'm so happy that they're coming back. Also, our boss used to, when he would do surprise visits, you'd always see him with an Earl of Sandwich cup in his hand, so we texted him to congratulate him, and he's very happy to have a little soda cup from Earl of Sandwich again.
There you go.
But yeah, honestly, and this is next month. Like,
it's gonna,
next month.
well, it's not going to take that much. Like,
well, it's going to look the same.
I'm assuming it's literally just swapping out.
I also wouldn't be surprised if they did an alien pizza planet and just put the tarp and it's like Earl of Sandwich.
Well, if it's not staying and they're going to knock it down.
I mean, it's also what they're doing at Wonderground right now.
Yeah. So it'll be very interesting. It'll also be interesting to see how long it actually stays.
Yeah.
Because they didn't
My guess
indicate
is like
that at all.
About a year.
Maybe. I could imagine it being done before the end of the year.
Yeah.
Like, I could see it.
That's about a year.
Making it through the summer and being.
Like February to.
September.
Sure, it's 6 months.
I don't know. It'll be interesting. I mean, it'll depend on when Portos is ready to go.
It's true.
And when do you want to do construction there? Like, honestly, maybe it should be a year, so you should wait till. Although, no, because then you've got the Run Disney race next year and construction right in the middle of it.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Can't do that.
It's going to be very interesting to see how it plays out. We also learned, heading back over to Walt Disney World, that the barges are out. Harmonious is out. Disney Enchantment is out. We actually knew the latter two were. And that we will get the return of Happily Ever After. It sounds like the change will be that, the change will be that projections will be added to Happily Ever After on Main Street. And we will get Epcot Forever back for a limited run until the permanent show at Epcot is announced and makes its debut. I would tend to guess that will be October 1st, 2022.
No way.
Yeah.
What's the significance of October 1st?
I don't know.
Oh, okay. They just lose it a lot.
41 years.
41 years ago today. This was
I mean, they might do
the
the soft opening thing on the 29th or something too.
Yeah.
But what do you think about, let's start with barges. I mean, we've kind of talked about Disney Enchantment going away. Is that one just didn't connect the way that I think they hoped it would, even with the changes with Walt, Roy, and Mickey added.
Enjoy Disney Enchantment, but it was not Happily Ever After.
Correct.
So.
And so it'll be great to have Happily Ever After. It's just got something that moves you a little bit more.
I agree.
Harmonious, I like the show. Like, I really enjoy Harmonious.
It's just I don't love the barges.
The barges I have a problem with. Like, especially during the day. And if I'd have been smart, I would have pulled the vlogs of the first time we've all seen these things, because they're just massive and you can't grasp how big these things are
until you see them.
And every time I've gone back since first seeing them, that first time you walk around the corner over to World Showcase Lagoon, you have that moment of like, oh my, that's big. And
well, and I was saying, I want to be able to stand at any point in World Showcase and look across. And like, to me, that's part of the beauty of Epcot, is being able to like look at all this, and the water's gorgeous. And
especially at sunset. Like I think of how many times I've taken pictures across to maybe Spaceship Earth, or maybe
from Japan.
Yeah, or maybe from like China towards Italy, or like there's just so many really fun places to get sunset pictures, but other times of the day too. And the barges definitely had an obstruction to them that didn't feel magical. At night they looked magical during the show.
During the show, yes.
Especially if you were like, I would encourage anybody who's going between now and what is it, April 2nd, 3rd, whenever, second when it closes. I guess I could look at the notes, but if you're going before it goes away, if you can, watch on the Spaceship Earth side of things, because if you're looking at it from right there, April 2nd, I was surprised how much more awe-inspiring everything was. Like the fountains, the projections, all of it was much better. Whereas if you're on the backside or the sides, it's kind of gets lost and you focus on the fireworks a little bit more.
It's also just, it wasn't a show that could have been watched from all angles. If you were kind of on the side, I think it was a less pretty view of everything than in other spots.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You had to look at the fireworks.
Yeah. So honestly, I think that Harmonious was a fantastic concept that the execution just lacked for me, specifically with the barges. If it had done an Illuminations thing that had rolled out.
And I just don't know how you get those out every day.
You don't.
They're too big.
You don't. But had it done something like Illuminations and the globe rolls out at sunset or whatever, I would have been so much happier.
So what do you think's next? Like, is there going to be,
Forever?
yeah, is there going to, like, what's the next, I don't want to call it a gimmick, but what's that next central iconic thing that will make whatever the next show is amazing?
Illuminations, reflections of the universe. Not reflections of Earth.
So we get the sun instead of the Earth, or what?
We get Neptune. To me, and this is my humble opinion, I truly believe that every nighttime spectacular, so Epcot, Forever, and Harmonious, have been battling with Illuminations. And I think that it is, I'm so sorry to say it because I love both of these shows, I think it's a losing battle because Illuminations is, I think, threaded in the Epcot history and iconography.
Well, and Illuminations had things you didn't expect that were wow moments when it came. And I think they attempted that with the barges. But the hard part is there's fountains everywhere. Go to Vegas, there's fountains. Go to, half of any nice hotel probably has fountains that can be synchronized to water. LED walls are now everywhere. They're on the freeway, they're in churches, they're in, like Disneyland, all over the place. Like, they're not new things, and putting them together, I don't know, was iconic, or, it didn't blow me away enough to be like, oh, they did a completely, surprising thing there.
It flipped it on its head, yeah.
Yeah, and so there wasn't that moment of, like, the first time when you saw Illuminations where the fireworks shoot off from the shores all around you, and you're like, oh, what's going on here?
Yeah.
And even when the globe would open, you're like, oh, I didn't see that coming.
Yeah.
Like, there wasn't that, like, that magic trick moment.
That new and unexpected thing.
And I will say, Epcot Forever, when it opened, the firework kites had that moment of like, oh, this is way cooler than I thought it was going to be. But I also knew it was coming. But yeah, I'm very curious. Like, my thought being, and this is just throwing it out there without any foresight or anything on this, is what about something like what they're doing at Disneyland Paris with the drones?
I would love.
I think they've done some really cool things with that, and if they could do it safely, and make it work. I think you could probably do something with drones. But at the same
Drones
time,
in combination with a
with
nighttime spectacular.
pyro and a new whatever that thing is. But we'll see. I don't know. We'll keep following this and see what it is. As we head into Geeks Corner Plus,
Welcome.
We got a new trailer for Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania. What did you think of this trailer?
Quantumania. Every time I hear Quantumania, I think of Listomania.
Okay.
The song. Do you know the song?
No.
Oh, okay. That's fine. Somebody didn't listen to K-Rock in 2010.
No.
It's fine. I had a car that didn't have an
Ant-Man.
aux cable. Ant-Man, I am so stoked about Kang. Like, so stoked. Mainly because I think the MCU needs another big bad to focus on. And obviously, like, Thanos was built up for 10 years, almost.
Something like that, yeah.
Because he made his appearance in Ultron, I think was the first one. So I'm very excited, and I'm a bit interested because this trailer shows us a lot, in my opinion, but I also think that Marvel is pretty good at misdirecting. So
I'm hoping it's misdirecting because the one thing, having watched the trailer a couple times now, it looks great. It has a little bit of Doctor Strange-ish stuff going on, it feels like.
yeah.
There's a little bit of, there's a lot of things going on. I'm hoping it still feels like Ant-Man.
Yeah.
Like, I hope Scott Lang doesn't become too serious and too much the superhero as opposed to the accidental superhero, which is really what he is. And I love that, yes, he's a good hero, but he also tends to fall into things, and his success is almost as much luck as it is everything else.
Ant-Man is the Baskin-Robbins guy. Like, he's the Baskin-Robbins guy that went to jail.
Which the first trailer heads that way.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that ends up happening more in this, and it could be
And
Cassie ends up being the...
I know that they wanted to make Ant-Man less of a lighthearted franchise, but I'm like, I think that's part of its appeal. So I'm a little worried it'll get too, like...
Yeah, I don't want it to get too serious.
My biggest fear is that I'll walk out being like, that was heavy.
Yeah, I don't want it to get too serious.
Yeah.
And I also don't want it to be formulaic.
Yeah.
Because I have felt there is maybe a formula that I'm sensing and feeling with Marvel. I won't even say just movies. I think everything Marvel's putting out lately, you can kind of predict this is what's going to happen in this episode. This is how it's going to resolve in that episode. Like, I feel like there's this is what happens in episode 5. And, maybe different things happen, but this is where that part of the story is.
This is where the arc goes.
Yeah, and I think that's something that they have to challenge themselves to get out of. And I think same with their movies, is there's definitely that kind of like, okay, I get it. Like, this is how it's going to play out. And so I haven't had the same urgency to see the recent Marvel films as I had leading up to Phase 4. And it's suddenly been like, oh, okay, I think I get this already. And I haven't felt like I've lost anything by not being there opening night. And there hasn't been really any major surprises.
I still haven't even seen Thor: Love and Thunder.
You can.
I could. It's on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
I just haven't.
There you go. Anyway, I'm looking forward to the movie. I'll be curious to see how good it actually is or isn't. And I'm looking forward to the bonus features that come with it whenever it gets released on home entertainment releases, because in general those are really good. All right, we have one more surprise for you in Geeks Corner Plus, and our good friend Drew, who made the logo, actually both of the logos we used tonight, he makes a thing called crack pretzels, and they're called crack pretzels because they're really addicting, I guess. I don't know. So Katie has never had a crack pretzel, but I thought, because Drew's such a nice guy, and we just saw him in Palm Springs like a week and a half ago.
So fun.
That you should try a crack pretzel.
I feel like this is a setup.
It's not. I would eat all of these by myself. In fact, walking out there or out here with them, I had to like hold myself back from just eating them. So basically what you do.
I don't want to know.
Oh, you don't want to know?
No, not until I eat one.
Okay, you eat it, and then I'll tell you what you do.
It's not what I expected. I expected them to be sweet.
No, they're not. So it's basically the powdered ranch dressing, but I got Fiesta Ranch by accident, which gives it a little bit of a kick. But normally you do regular ranch dressing with like cayenne pepper and a couple other little things. And you put the pretzels in oil, olive oil, whatever it is that you use, and so that the powder will, like you mix up the powder in another bag, make it all stick, then you cook it or bake it, roast it, whatever you want to do. I roasted it in the June oven because it was quicker that way, and then you're good to go.
June oven, sponsor us, please.
Yes, they kind of already did. But Drew gave me this recipe. This is with Fiesta Ranch. I want to try it with regular ranch because I think it's delicious. What do you think?
They're very good. Honestly,
they're dangerous, aren't they? Like if they were just sitting there, you wouldn't even think about it.
I like the kick. I honestly would have pegged them for something like cheesy.
I bet you could do that though.
But it has a cheesy, like not texture because they're pretzels.
There's a smell though that almost seems like it could be.
That's why I kept smelling them, because I couldn't peg what the smell was.
Yep.
No, they're very good, and I will say I am not a ranch person. I do not eat ranch. These are good.
So Drew, if you're watching, you converted her. All right. We are running out of time. Katie, what should people do? You
should go eat ranch by the handful.
Just go get ranch and drink it.
Just put a straw in there, baby. And then you should go to daftmagic.com with ranch in hand. Use your clean hand, please. And subscribe to our mailing list where you might hear more about ranch. And you can find our Patreon where we don't talk about ranch, but we could change that.
But I will be talking about my special event that I will be going to tomorrow night on Patreon tonight, because I think it's a pretty cool thing. And that's the best place to get to know things early. And also we want you to help us on Patreon decide what photos should be in the frames. And so anything that I have taken or Katie has taken is fair game.
Mr. Dax is like not a fan of the fact that I said that every frame back here should be photos of me. So like if you guys could back me up on Patreon, that'd be super sick.
Anyway, anything that's I've taken on my Instagram, you can vote.
There's no pictures of me on your Instagram.
Yeah, so anyway, Taryn did drink ranch as a kid.
And Taryn, I ate butter as a kid. This is why we're
You'll have to have some crack pretzels, Taryn. Hopefully you'll like them. But anyway, that is all the time we have for you this week. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We'll have all the Disney 100 stuff coming, along with Magic Happens Parade. You won't want to miss any of that. But that is all the time we have for tonight. So we will see you around the corner.
Bye!